Balogun. Ms. Balogun has close to 30 years experience in organizational effectiveness and human resources management. She's a management consultant of note, and today she will be leading the discourse on bullying and workplace harassment. Mrs. Balogun, please, you may come on and take the floor and introduce yourself properly.
All right, thank you. We said yes, thank you. Good morning to you all. Good morning, Venerable. Thank you for the invitation. You know very well that this topic is one of my passions, so I'm very delighted to be here to preach the gospel to more people about bullying and harassment in the workplace. Okay, so as you said, I'm an organizational effectiveness consultant. I'm also a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist, and this topic falls under that. And recently, I've been engaging with Venerable on employee assistance programs, and bullying and harassment, of course, plays a very, very big role in that. That's one of the main reasons why employee assistance programs are required by many organizations. So I've got a talk for about an hour, and it's interactive. I am monitoring the chat as I'm going along, so please feel free to make your comments or ask any questions in the chat as we're going along, and I'll be responding. And of course, I would really enjoy your reactions. So please use the Zoom reaction icons as well to let me know your reactions to what I'm going to share with you. So here we go, let's get started. So this is just the outline. I conducted some research I've been conducting research in a structured way since 2017, but I've been in this field since 2005 on diversity and inclusion, harassment and discrimination specifically. A lot of people have expanded that to bullying, harassment and discrimination, because they see bullying as a subset that is very, very important. And I'll explain why it's so important. And in doing my research since 2017, hearing from people, hearing testimonials, I've created our own materials, training materials and resource materials, using the context and the situations that we find ourselves in, that our colleagues working in Nigerian workplaces find themselves in. So you'll be seeing some of those resources. I'll be sharing them with you. Some of them are short video clips, and there are others available on my YouTube page as well. I'll share the statistics, because we need to start with data-driven evidence. When you talk to employers about why they have high turnover in their workplace, why productivity is low, why morale is low, and people are not putting in their discretionary efforts, until you show them the statistics, very often they think, it's just anecdotal. Yeah, we've heard from one person or the other. So I'm going to share you some statistics that you can use to buttress your arguments when you're talking to employers. And if you're an employer here, hopefully that will also convince you. We'll hear some testimonies, and then we'll talk about what you can do to address bullying and harassment in the workplace. And I'll show some appreciation and recognition to people who contributed to this. So the genesis of all of this is from my business, okay? I'm an organization effectiveness consulting firm. We do a lot of organization development interventions, so cultural transformations. I do executive coaching, a lot of leadership, team building, but a lot of cultural transformations across many different types of organizations. And what I discovered, it's been over 20 years of consulting, is that when you do all these culture audits and so on, when you look into the data, you find out that there is a recurring decimal. And what is that recurring decimal? It is bullying, harassment, and discrimination. Hostile work environments, blame culture, harassment of staff, male and female staff, intimidation as a management style, micromanagement, sexual harassment as something that is tolerated, is normal, discrimination, most of it unconscious, I have to say, sometimes very, very deliberate, but most of it is actually unconscious. Some of it is paternalistic. Retaliation, very common. You do this to me, you didn't help me. I asked you to do something, you didn't help me, or you made me look bad at a meeting, I will retaliate. And then victimization, using tangible employment actions, usually with HR. You can't go on training, you can't go on leave. Your performance ranking is reduced. A lot of victimization as well. So that's the recurring decimal that I discovered in the course of my organization development work. And that is why I got into this very, very seriously. So I do studies. If I engage with clients, the first thing I do is I do a survey, or I do an audit, or I do a focus group. So I don't go in and take what the client tells me as gospel, right? So I do that. And then we did the nationwide research as well. We had 722 respondents across different sectors around the country, about even split of genders, both religions represented. And these were our discoveries. Of course, we know it's a global issue, but sometimes people think it's worse in Nigeria. If you had seen the harassment and the sexual harassment report by the International Bar Association, it is as bad as anything you'll find here in Nigeria. So you look at different sectors. Medicine, it's a global issue. It's a global issue. The issue here in Nigeria is many times the staff don't know that they have recourse. They have places they can go to if they need help. And the culture in general is more tolerant of it. But it's ubiquitous everywhere. But we found that there was very little data about the experience of boys and men. There was more data about the experience of girls and women. And so we cast the net wider to include boys and men, and you'll be surprised by the results of that as well. There's a gap in understanding, a huge gap in exactly what these things mean. So we'll address that today as well. The labor laws did not specifically address that, but we have a law now, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, which tackles it, addresses the situation a bit more directly. And of course, if you have access to a lawyer, we are covered under the Constitution, we're covered under some codes, like in Lagos, they have criminal code, and the National Industrial Court as well does that. But labor laws specifically haven't been addressing this in the past. And then organizations are not aware that it's a risk for them, that this behavior is a risk for them. They feel, yeah, it makes the workplace a bit uncomfortable, but they didn't realize the extent of the risk. And some organizations have paid a very high price for that. You have organizational liability if there's bullying, harassment, sexual harassment going on in your organization, especially victimization. You are aware of it and you don't do anything about it. So those were the results of that. Basically, these are our discoveries. And in terms of workplace impact, which would be of interest to many of you here, because I know many of you are into employee assistance programs. And many of these came out in the survey in the summit that Sages and Scribes, hosted very recently, just in the past few weeks. Absenteeism, I'm not feeling well, whatever. Presenteeism, they come to work, but they are mentally absent. So turnover, high turnover, you can't retain staff. And this is even before the JAPA syndrome, where we have a large-scale migration of talent abroad. So there was a lot of high turnover in those kind of organizations. Productivity, of course, very, very low. Profitability takes a hit because staff are not putting in their discretionary effort. Mental health, of course, a lot of mental health issues, much more than people realize. We have a lot of walking wounded in our workplaces. Occupational health and safety risks. So if you work in one of the technical organizations, if you work in oil and gas, especially, you would note that when you have these cultures, you have higher lost time incidents, higher safety incidents, and things like that at high cost, high human and material cost. And then, of course, reputation risk, because your organization becomes associated with a man who killed his wife, a professional who killed his wife, or a woman who's battering her husband, and things like that. So these were our discoveries. So we have research objectives, which I won't go into. Somebody is annotating. Let me just turn the annotation off. Just a minute. And clear the screen. Okay. So these were our research objectives. How prevalent is this in Nigeria? Provide evidence for practitioners, especially HR practitioners, to use. Understand the employee experience. Be able to speak for the voiceless, basically, and find out what were the barriers and the enablers to creating a respectful workplace environment, and then make recommendations, because people will say, okay, sure, okay, it's happening. Yes, it's bad. So what can we do about it? This is our Nigerian culture, that if you are kind to them, they will take you for granted. They will give them an inch, they will take you a mile. What can we do about all of these things? So talk about humane performance management. And then inclusion as well. Try to minimize the amount of discrimination in the workplace and advocate for more awareness. So those are objectives. So let me show you what it feels like with a little video. The face of exclusion. This is an excerpt of an e-learning resource that we put together for some of our clients. It's just 6 minutes long. Let me know in the chat if you have any challenges with sound. Here we go.
When I argue with my wife, I come to work angry, and I look for a way to let out my annoyance and vent. It is my subordinates who suffer it. It's not intentional, but it just happens naturally.
I have my responsibilities and deliverables, and I hate failure. I need to get my work done fast, and bullying works. That gets my colleagues nervous at times. I find that so funny. They don't dare question me. They get out of my way when they see me coming.
I cannot believe it. I am a professional. I am so good at my job. I did not spend so many years in the university just to come run personal errands for my boss. I'm sure if I was not working here, he would never dream of sending a person like me to pick up his children from school, to pick up his dry cleaning. I'm not even his PA. And then I have to stay back late to catch up with my own work. This is not fair. This is not fair. And funny enough, I can't even complain, because if I do, then my contract will not be renewed.
Look, it is only human to retaliate. I thought she'd be happy that I was showing interest in her. But she said no. But when women say no, they mean try harder. Anyway, can you imagine she reported me? Well, no problem. I backed off. But I made sure her name was removed from the list of those going overseas for training. Her days in this company, they are numbered.
He shouts at me. They make jokes about my accent and about people like me. She harasses me and makes me look stupid. I can't bear it. I hate all of them. I just go to a corner, cry, and calm myself. I defend myself when I can, but sometimes it makes the situation even worse. I just dread going to work. If I don't need the money, I would run. But I just try to avoid them instead of focusing on my own job. But the most annoying thing is that they don't even realize what they're doing to me. Tell me, if they were the one doing their job and someone was bullying and harassing them the way they're doing to me, how would they feel?
What we hope to do is to show employers, show employees, show observers, show offenders, show their victims, the offended, what bullying and harassment really is. Many of us are not aware of exactly what it is. A lot of it is done unintentionally because from our background, those sorts of behaviors are accepted as the norm. So the first thing is to educate and to sensitize about what is bullying. What is harassment? What is sexual harassment? What is discrimination, retaliation, victimization? Where is the line between being friendly and familiar with somebody to being offensive? Where is that line? That's one of the things that we want to achieve. The other thing we want to achieve is to show how you can contribute and what your responsibility is in creating a workplace free from harassment and discrimination. The fact that your employer has decided to be proactive and create a policy against harassment and discrimination, the fact that HR has got a process for investigating claims and taking punitive measures or corrective measures when cases come up, that alone will not create a workplace free from harassment and discrimination. We need the offenders to understand their behavior and to stop their behavior, check themselves. We need the offended to understand what is happening, recognize it at very early stages, report it, safely confront the offender where that is possible. And we need observers, people who are aware of what is going on, who have witnessed incidents or who have received reports from a colleague who is crying or in pain to take steps. And finally, we need the authorities, whether it's human resources, whether it's an admin department, whether it's a business integrity department, or a corporate responsibility department, whichever department the organization decides to establish. We need them, the organization, to have trust, the employees to trust that that department will act objectively in favor of the offended. Not necessarily to punish the offender, but to make that behavior stop. You will also learn how to respond to a bullying and harassment incident in a safe and respectful way whenever it occurs.
Okay, so I hope you found that useful. So let me take you through the statistics from the research, which are quite shocking. And before I take that through, I just want to make sure that everyone understands the different terms, because some people are a bit confused, especially the difference between bullying and harassment. Let me start with bullying, because bullying is the most prevalent in the workplace. So bullying is offensive treatment. It doesn't have to be based on anything, okay? Offensive treatment is usually aggressive and intimidating, like aggressive shouting. That's sort of shouting that when somebody shouts at you, it makes you afraid, right? It can be very vindictive. It can be cruel. So people might decide they want to humiliate you, right? It can be malicious. And the objective is to undermine an individual employee or group of employees. So that's bullying, right? Harassment is unwanted conduct that is usually based on some diversity characteristic. So they are harassing you because you are a woman. They are harassing you because you are a man. They are harassing you because of your ethnic, where you come from. They are harassing you because of your economic status, your social background, your class. They are harassing you because of your body shape, okay? They're harassing you because of your disability or ability status, or your medical status, or your parental status, or your marital status, right? Harassment is based on a diversity characteristic. So harassment is closely tied to discrimination. and the harassment affects the dignity of men and women in the workplace. It's just like bullying does. Bullying also affects your dignity, but it's based on something, a diversity characteristic, something that most of the time you can't do anything about. You can't help it if you are tall or short, or if you are fat or skinny, or if you are Igbo or Hausa or Yoruba or Robo or wherever. You can't help it, right? You can't help it if you're a man or a woman. And then sexual harassment is unwelcome sexual advances. So it's somebody can make sexual advances. If they are welcome, that is not sexual harassment. If they are not welcome, it is sexual harassment. So the onus is on the person who is going to welcome or reject, will determine whether your conduct is sexual harassment or not. Of course, touching somebody in any way in the workplace is generally inappropriate. You only touch people when you have a relationship with that person, meaning you have an understanding. We are friends. That's why we're hugging each other. We knew each other before, okay? There's a basis for the touch, and you know that the other person has given you consent through whatever relationship you have. So you don't just go to a new workplace or you welcome a new member of staff in the workplace and you decide to hug that person without asking, building rapport, forming a relationship, and even asking, is it okay if I hug you? Okay, some people like it, some people don't like it. So if it's unwelcome, it is sexual harassment. And then discrimination is treating one person differently than others in the workplace. So instead of equal opportunity, you are creating unequal, right, opportunity. It can either be by treating somebody less favorably than others, okay, which is what most people understand as discrimination, but it can also be treating one person more favorably than everybody else, which is like favoritism, godfatherism, and so nepotism, all those isms. So that's what we mean by discrimination. And victimization it's kind of retaliating or taking a tangible employment action against somebody, okay? So most of the time, victimization really in this sphere of bullying and harassment and discrimination is because somebody has reported you for your bad behavior, or somebody was a witness in an investigation that showed you in an unfavorable light, and you decide, I'm going to deal with that person. So victimization is part of the retaliation against somebody who is trying to defend themselves, or who has reported your friend, your colleague, for sexual harassment, and your colleague was sacked, and you decide that you are going to deal with that person. That is victimization, and it is illegal. So some of these are, all of these behaviors are inappropriate. Sexual harassment is illegal, victimization is illegal, and recently, some of the others have even become criminal. So I'll share some information about that. But if you have any questions about these definitions, please type it in the chat. Okay, so from our research, we found out that bullying is the most prevalent form of workplace harassment. Workplace harassment includes bullying, it includes discrimination, it includes retaliation, it includes victimization. They all fall under the umbrella of harassment. And bullying is the most prevalent form of that. So from our research, 60% of the respondents said that they have been shouted at, or been sweared at, or cursed at, or they've seen it right in front of them. It's very, very prevalent. And men in the workplace suffer from bullying more than women. When I say that, more than 50% of women suffer from bullying, okay? So it's very high for women, but it was significantly higher for men at 65%. So bullying is the most prevalent form of harassment. So please, in the chat, let me know, why do you think bullying is the most prevalent form, yeah, of harassment? Let me say in Nigeria. Okay, so please let us know in the chat. We'll have a conversation while I continue. So these are the results. It says 49% of the respondents. So here, we're saying 60% had seen shouting or swearing, okay, which is a form of bullying. We're talking about bullying in general, all the different forms of bullying. 49% of respondents said they have been bullied and harassed. 31% said they have been discriminated against. So we asked, for those who responded yes, we asked them, on what basis were you discriminated against? And overwhelmingly, it was ethnicity. I've put race there, but in Nigeria, race is not really a factor. And nationality was, well, nationality could be, but race not, right? It was more ethnicity, where you come from. And the ethnicity could include Indian, Korean, Chinese, Lebanese, okay? But most of the time, they're talking about our usual suspects in Nigeria, and you know who they are, right? So tribalism, and I did another, some other research this year, 2023, and yet again, tribalism came up tops. You'll be surprised to see that religion came out. I mean, it's still significant, but it was not as prevalent as people were expecting. Religion was not. Definitely gender. Gender is a major issue in Nigeria. You get a lot of gender discrimination against women, but there is also a lot of gender discrimination against men. And I mentioned this at the EAP Summit, that, for example, if you feel there's a role that should be for women, like nursing, if a man applies, they'll just set his CV aside. But overwhelmingly, the gender discrimination was against women. And then age discrimination is a big issue in Nigeria. And remember what I said about bullying and harassment, that bullying is just offensive treatment. Harassment is on the basis of something. So these bases of discrimination, you would find that people are being harassed on the same things. So age, harassment based on age is very significant in Nigeria, especially against young people, but also against older people, followed by economic status, which is class, and then religion and other. And the other can include things like your accent, how you know it, how you speak. It could include like your body shape. It could be your personality. You're too quiet, you're too loud, things like that. And then we delved deeper into sexual harassment. I'm happy to report that in the research we've been doing recently, sexual harassment has reduced significantly in formal workplaces. But in terms of absolute numbers, it's reduced significantly as a percentage. But in terms of absolute numbers, it's still very high. But we found 1 out of 2 respondents had experienced sexual harassment. Only 1 out of 10 had made a formal report, which means organizations are not even being given the opportunity to do anything about it. And women suffer overwhelmingly more from sexual harassment than men. 55% of women reporting it compared to 43% of men. There's also a big difference between the sexual harassment of men and women. Sexual harassment of women tends to be by people who have power over them, who have power and influence over them and over their careers, whereas the majority of sexual harassment of men is by people who don't have power over them. So younger women who are chasing them, who want favors from them and stuff like that. There is a growing number of women in positions of power and leadership, and we're seeing more senior female to junior male sexual harassment as well, but it's still very small numbers in terms of percentages. But for the one man who experiences it, he won't find it funny that he was sexually harassed by his boss. His boss wanted to go out with him. He said no. And the next thing you know, he was posted somewhere where his career is just going to wither and die. So you have things like that going on as well. And you can see here, 87% have not reported. 75% did not even complain to anybody. They just lived with it, right? And you know what the mental health impact of that, of suppressing what is going on with you, not sharing it with anyone, would have. And in terms of forms of sexual harassment, the most prevalent one is verbal sexual harassment. I've talked about it's mostly by, of course, people in positions of power. There's an increasing number. The percentage of peer-on-peer sexual harassment is rising. The percentage of boss to subordinate sexual harassment is going down, but peer-on-peer sexual harassment is rising. And I've talked about the gender dynamics as well. So you can see here in terms of where it happens, it mostly happens in private offices, but you'll be surprised that a lot of cultures don't see, a lot of workplaces see no problem, no issue with it. And you have sexual harassment happening in general work areas, open offices where everybody can see and hear what is going on. And of course, there's a lot online via WhatsApp and things like that. Why don't they report? Why don't they report? So many employers have put in place anonymous reporting systems, whistleblowing, go to HR, go to your line manager. They have policies, zero tolerance policies. Why don't employees report? Overwhelmingly, again, they think reporting is going to make their situation worse. They think the situation is going to make their situation worse. A lot of this boils down to, it's going to make my situation worse. And for those who are not worried about that, I want the behavior to stop. I don't want the person harassing me to lose their job. I don't want to be responsible for someone losing their job. So because of that, I will not report. That is also an issue. So sometimes having zero tolerance policies actually inhibits reporting, because people feel, if I report this person, that person is out, right? So that can also inhibit reporting. So that's something to think about. In your awareness, let people know that we will investigate, we'll talk to the person, we'll send the person for anger management, we'll send the person for coaching, we'll send the person for counseling. And then if the person doesn't change, then that person is putting their own job at risk. It's not you putting the person's job at risk. Other barriers to reporting is that when the few people who have reported, this has been the response. You can see here, ignore the behavior. The organization ignored it. Okay. Another 22% said, yes, the complaint was investigated, but most of the time, no disciplinary action is taken. So people comfort the victim, sorry, well, right? Some people intervene to advise, and a few cases they discipline the offender, but very often they leave the offender, who is in a position of power, in the position to take indirect action against you. Some people had to eventually exit their workplace after reporting. And then others find it funny, laugh at the behavior, copy the behavior, and so on. And I can see the contributions in the chat. Thank you very much. Yes, you said bullying is the most prevalent form because the system permits it. Sometimes bullying is out of envy, absolutely. And value exchange, oppressive tendencies of those who feel superior. The position is to serve, not to intimidate. Inferiority complex for several reasons, absolutely, absolutely. So thank you to those of you who are contributing in the chat. The other thing is about consent. There was a lack of understanding about what consent is, because in Nigeria, a lot of people meet their life partners at work. So obviously there will be romantic overtures, right? But they really didn't understand the concept of consent. We said if your subordinate agrees to have sex with a superior, it's not sexual harassment, right? Of course it's sexual harassment, because if a superior asks you to have sex with him, and most of the time it's a he, but let's say with him or her, and you say no, you're fearing for your job. You're afraid for your job. Yeah. So absolutely. Then they said you said you go out with them yesterday, or you had sex with them yesterday, they can't say no today because they said yes yesterday, right? So once you've given consent once, as far as they're concerned, that's consent forever. 18% thought that if a person in power asks for sex, you don't have a choice, you have to agree. And some people said you don't need to have a conversation about sex and agree before engaging in sexual activity, So I think that has been debunked in recent years. But really, if you have a conversation about consent in your organization, you will be surprised about some of the opinions that come out. Now, in all our training and advocacy about this, what we have found is that you really need to show people what is going on. Let them see with their own eyes, because telling stories, they don't believe it, or they believe it's happening to one person. It's not very, very common. Or they feel there must have been circumstances circumstances that caused the boss or so we created testimonies in film, the most common scenarios that come up again and again and again. And I've been, as I said, I've been doing this research since 2017. Thousands and thousands of people from all over the country, and I've compared it with research from around the world. So I've created these short videos. They're about 1 minute each, and what I want to put you through is 10 minutes in their shoes. Testimonies from the workplace about bullying, harassment, and discrimination. And I hope this is not the same as the one I had before.
No, take it easy. Just take it right outside, yes? Aisha. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Listen, I'm going for a meeting now. But when I come back this night, we can find time to talk about your salary increment, okay? We'll need to discuss that this night before I travel to the capital tomorrow morning. So meet me at the hotel for 8 p.m., all right?
Sir, I mean, excuse me, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I don't think I'll be comfortable meeting you in a hotel. I mean, sir, can't we just discuss it in the office? I'll wait for you after your meeting. There's time. I'll wait.
What are you saying? Are you saying that you don't trust me?
No, sir.
No. Are you saying that I cannot ask you to meet me at my own convenience?
No.
What is wrong with you? Who the hell do you think you are? If you know what's good for you, you better meet me at that hotel for 8 p.m. Otherwise, don't bother coming here tomorrow morning. You understand me? Nonsense.
Yep, sexual harassment. Let's go to the next.
Have you sent your staff appraisal report to HR?
No, I haven't had time.
Well, I know Mary will be your top performer, Abi.
Mary? No. She's struggling. And I'm going to recommend she goes on poor performance.
Don't try it, though. That girl has connections.
Really?
Yes, Mary has a godfather here. See, you don't mess around with godchildren or love interest in this place. If you try it, you will be the one exiting this company for poor wisdom, not her.
Like, seriously?
Yes.
So what kind of bullying and harassment was going on there? What are we tackling over there? Let's have it in the chat. What kind of bullying and harassment is going on there? Let's go to clip number 3.
Good day, madam.
Hey,
Here are the
good
reports
day.
you asked me to get, ma'am.
Oh, okay, please, sit.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, this is for last month. So there was a drop in sales last month due to heavy rain.
Boy. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
So there was a drop in sales last month due to heavy.
Ooh, so fair.
Heavy.
Your wife is lucky. Yeah, I'm listening. Yes.
Okay, so our sales.
What is wrong with you? Are you not a man? Oh, okay. I will have a lunch delivered to you. How about that?
I'm good. No.
I know you love Chinese.
Thank you.
What is?
Thanks.
What? Are you going?
Yep. Next.
So we're going to book our flight here.
Good afternoon, sir.
Chai! Anita! Come. So you have big bum like this? Eh? See your curves. What's wrong with her? It's not as if maybe I even... I didn't... See that ass? Did you see it? Sorry. I felt it in my heart.
So what is the role of the bystanders and the observers in that clip? What's the role of the bystanders and the observers in that clip? There was the person he was talking to, and that's a man, and there was a woman walking past as well. What was the role of the bystanders and observers in that clip? Please let me know in the chat. Clip 5.
Bó ṣe jẹ́ nísìnyí, èmi máa lọ sórí internet láti parí research lórí iṣẹ́ yẹn. Ṣó ti yé yín? Then ìwọ Ṣadé ń tiẹ̀ kó gbogbo ohun tá a ti kó jọ kó fi parí proposal tá à ń sọ yìí.
Kò sí wàhálà.
Tí ó ti dàbí.
So, tí proposal yẹn bá ti ready, ẹ máa gbé lọ fún ọ̀gá mi.
Bó ṣe yẹ kó jẹ́ nìyẹn, kò sí time.
Come on, guys. We are on this proposal together, and you guys are speaking vernacular. I don't understand it, so please speak English.
I beg, no hear word. You want to tell me that since you've been in Lagos, you don't know how to speak Yoruba?
Kọfílẹ̀, mú ni.
Wàhálà ìdílé màlélẹ̀ yìí. What we just said is that you're very beautiful.
Very.
So bó ṣe yẹ kó jẹ́ nìyẹn. Ṣadé má gbàgbé o, kó parí proposal yẹn o. Má lọ ṣe mistake.
Beauty queen.
Okay, so the non-Yoruba speakers in this room, including me, okay, how did you feel watching that video that was mostly in Yoruba? The non-Yoruba speakers in this room, how did you feel? How did you personally feel watching that video that was mostly in Yoruba? How did you feel? Let's go. Yeah, let me see saying isolated. Let's go to clip 6.
Chinelo, what is this rubbish? I asked you to write me a business letter and you bring this rubbish to me? What is wrong with you? Sorry for you and your stupid school that trained you. Even my 12-year-old child can do better than that. Take that away, correct it, and make sure you bring me a proper business letter to sign. If you come back here with that rubbish, get out of my office. Look at her stupid fake hair. What is wrong with these people these days?
So what was going on in that this scenario? And I'd like to hear from one person actually. Could one person raise their hand? I'd like to hear from one person. What was going on in that scenario? Scenario number 6. Someone raise their hand so that you can unmute you and you can speak. What was going on in that scenario number 6? Okay. Adetunba, please go ahead. Okay, I can see responses in the chat. So you said bullying, 100% bullying, yeah, harassment, insulting, personal harassment, yeah. So how did he bully her and harass her? What did he do? Who wants to share? I'd like somebody to unmute and share. What did he do specifically that was bullying and harassment? One person, please unmute and share. What did you see that the boss do specifically? In fact, what was his intention? What was the boss trying to achieve? How was he feeling? Anastasia, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, ma. His intention is to get her to accept him. He's trying to victimize her because she refused to meet him at the hotel. Like,
oh no, sorry, Anastasia. This last scenario with the letter, when he threw the letter at her, what do you think was going on there?
That is throwing the letter back at her makes her feel incompetent, like she doesn't know what she's doing, trying to undermine her.
Yeah,
that's what he's.
But what was he feeling as a boss? Why was he so angry? And what was he trying? What was he intending? What was his intention? What do you think?
His intention is just trying to, to me, he's just trying to undermine her, make her look like she doesn't know her job.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Anastasia. We got another hand up. Okay. Please go ahead. We've got a hand up. So that's Chito. Chito, please go ahead.
Boss is trying to feel superior.
Okay.
Trying to belittle her, to make her lose her confidence, to insult her generally.
Okay. All right.
Bullying.
Oh, yeah, but why? Why is he doing that? What is the scenario? When you walk, we have witnessed a scenario. What was the scenario we've just witnessed?
An aggressive boss trying to intimidate a subordinate.
Absolutely. That's what he did. But let's go back a little bit. Thank you to everybody who contributed. Let's go back a little bit. He asked her to write him a business letter. She has brought the business letter. He is completely dissatisfied with the business letter. And what does he do? Did any of you see any correction going on in that clip? Right? He told her, come back with a better business letter. Did he tell her what was wrong about the business letter? Did he tell her how to make it a better business letter? Was there any performance management going on in that scenario? The answer is no. And meanwhile, that is what many bosses think they are doing. They think that they are correcting their staff when no correction happened in that scenario. He brought a letter, he wasn't satisfied with it. He threw it on the ground. She had to bend down in a humiliating way, pick it up. He abused her school. He abused her hair. He compared her to his 12-year-old child. You know, he basically just, so for some people, that would be enough to destroy their self-esteem. Whereas if you speak to the boss, he'll be saying, I talk to them, I correct them, and they don't hear. That's the kind of thing. They don't respond to my training, but no training occurred in that scenario. So that's one of the reasons why you have to do a lot of awareness and education and training for supervisors and bosses. They don't even know how to supervise and manage staff properly. They don't have people management skills. He's probably thinking that she will learn from that experience because he has insulted her in such a way that it will pain her and she will never come back again with rubbish work, right? This is what is going on in his mind. So it's good to look into, a lot of it is unintentional or comes from even good intentions, but the delivery is so very poor. So we have a scenario here. Here we go.
Yes, come in, please.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kevin. Yes, how may I help you?
Well, ma, I'm here to discuss about my promotion case with you.
Okay, go ahead, I'm listening.
Thank you. You see, ma, despite my very good performance for the past 5 years,
yes,
I have been passed over for promotion 2 times. Well, I think that I'm being discriminated against because of my disability.
Oh, Mr. Kevin, this is a very serious complaint. I will have to investigate on it and find out what is going on. On several occasions, I've had the MD commending on your dedication in this company. But don't worry, I think it's an oversight and we will see to it. Okay? Thank you for informing HR.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Disability. And the final one, our final one. Here we go.
Good morning, sir.
Zainab, come here. What is good about the money? What have you come to do here? I hope you're not carrying any bomb under this your big masquerade gown before you come and bomb us all here. Mrs. Osama, can you even do any work? I'm sure it's very hot in there now. I better go before you come and blow me here. Go, please. Zainabo.
Okay, so that was our last one. Yes, discrimination because of physical challenges. Yes, that was for number 7. How about for number 8? How about for number 8? What was going on in number 8? There were several things, right? So he was harassing her, probably on the basis of either her religion or her ethnicity. That's one, okay? Discrimination, yes. Again, it could be on religious or ethnic grounds. And he was also, which some of you might not have gotten, he was also sexually harassing her. That was very inappropriate comments that he made. I'm sure it's very hot in there right now. Yeah. So it can be several forms at the same time. So just taking a few steps in their shoes and this is just a few. There's so many other forms that it comes in. Of course, gender discrimination for women who go on maternity leave, and that one is a very common one. So many that we have documented. So what can we do about it? Let me go through that very quickly because I think my time is up. These are the recommendations. You should definitely have awareness campaigns, anti-harassment, anti-bullying and harassment campaigns in your organization. We should also educate people. You should make sure there's leadership commitment. In fact, you start with that. Go to the board, go to the CEO, and let the CEO make a statement that he or she will not tolerate these kinds of behaviors and be very specific about what those types of behaviors are, giving examples. Yeah. Then, of course, for people who have suffered from these sort of incidents, confidential counseling and coaching services, and that's where employee assistance programs come in. Where you do tackle issues, because some employers are doing the right thing, but they keep it very, very quiet. They want to be, treat the cases as confidential, which is fine. However, there's a staff grapevine. They know what is going on. You don't have to mention names, but you should tell them that, look, we had a case of sexual harassment. It was investigated. We found out it was true, and the person has been sanctioned. The person has been sent for whatever. We had a case of bullying, and the relevant staff has been sent for anger management classes, and the staff is being monitored. Or we had a report of some behaviors that were against our company values, and we want to thank the person who made that report. And we've also told HR to make sure to keep an eye on that person's file, to make sure that that person is not victimized by the people he or she reported. So you need to share results of whatever actions you are taking. Make sure you are enforcing your policies. Actually do training for the people who are going to be conducting the investigations, audit department, HR department. Don't just think they should know what to do. Actually train them and have periodic training for your staff. Put anonymous reporting channels in place. Sometimes HR is a perpetrator. Often the line manager is a perpetrator. And these are the two people that staff should be able to go to first when they have issues. So make sure you also have anonymous reporting channels. And when you get reports, be very fair to both the person who is making the report and the person who is being accused. Please, it's very important that there's fairness on both sides. And lastly, make people feel that they will be protected from retaliation if they make a report or say anything. So management, these are the steps management can take. Training, code of conduct, public leadership, external relationships. Employees are also responsible for creating a respectful workplace. They should participate in training. They should know the policies and code of conduct and reporting mechanisms. They should report if they are an observer. And if there are any surveys about, employee attitude surveys, culture surveys going around in the organization, don't be pessimistic, okay, or cynical. Contribute, and it's anonymous. Share what you know about what is going on in the organization. Of course, human resources has a massive role to play. Training and other initiatives, workplace culture, making sure they are promoting that, making sure the organization has the required policies, that they know what the laws are about this, reporting mechanisms, putting those in place, organizing surveys. Pulse surveys these days are very popular. Pulse surveys. And then those of you who belong to NGOs and organized labor, you have a big role to play in terms of advocacy about the new protections that we have in the law. There are new protections, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, the sexual harassment in tertiary institutions, and other, legislation, providing support services. We have sexual assault referral centers in every state now, I believe. And then free counseling, free therapy, offering training, advocacy campaigns. Some people are doing a fantastic job they've extended the audience beyond the workplace to boys and girls in secondary school, young men and women in university, and employers of domestic staff, because a lot of bullying, harassment, and discrimination happens in domestic staff, in the home as well, and then developing partnerships that can improve the situation. So I have an appreciation for the people who helped me with the research. That's a corporate lawyer, Michael Dugeri. Many of you will know the general, otherwise known as Dr. Abiola Akeode Afolabi, and Lamin Balogun, my daughter, who is a research analyst, and she has assisted me a lot with that as well. So we have a self-assessment here. Please go ahead and you can take a picture of the QR code to take you to the survey. This is for your own benefit. So you can see, assess yourself, what your own experiences have been, what is. So feel free to take that self-assessment. And if enough of you do it, I will share the summary results with Venerable Additional to share with you all the participants in this webinar. And on that note, that's the end of my presentation. And if we have time, we can take some questions now.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Balogun. Let's just take a couple of questions, and then I'll call on Yemisi Peters to give the vote of thanks.
Okay.
If you have any questions, you may type in the chat box or put up your hand, and you will be called upon. Any question?
Or contributions, yeah.
Or contribution or comments or criticism.
Absolutely. So while we're waiting, Venerable, what's your own reaction? Oh, okay, we have Grace has unmuted. Grace, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the informative session. Mine is just a contribution. For clip 4, I think it's also good for workplaces to have probably policies for dressing, because the lady was actually provocatively dressed, because women can also sexually harass men with their dressing. So I think that's my own contribution. I think there should be some form of policies guiding dressing in the workplace. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Grace. In fact, when we talk to men in the focus group about sexual harassment, quite a few of them do mention dress. And they say that what it does, it distracts them, right, from their work. They can't focus and they can't concentrate. So yes, we do have quite a few reports like that about dressing, about provocative dressing. Yeah. Okay.
There's a question by Dr. Akimba Mijo that I will want you to address, Mrs. Balogun. It's in the chat box.
Yes, what would be the role of, hold on, it's just gone down, of encouraging positive corporate energies against the negative energies that has been very nicely shown. Yeah, so basically it's, I suppose you're talking about as a leader. The first thing is you have to talk about it. From the statistics, it is clear that, and I can show you some demographics, it is in every sector, it's in every industry. So it is going on in your organization. So that's the first thing. Leaders have to stop being in denial. It is going on in your organization. Some of your senior staff are perpetrators. They're guilty of these behaviors. And what we like to say is good people can behave badly, right? So they are guilty because our national culture tolerates it. And there are no consequences for them. And very often they're not aware of the deep psychological and mental health impact it can have on the people that they are bullying or sexually harassing. The second one is, whether you're a leader or not, engage your organization to make sure you have a policy on this and that the policy is publicized. It's circulated that we have a policy against this now. And these are the ways you can report. The other thing you could do is share information on the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, because it's been domesticated in 34 out of the 36 states, and also the FCT. And it is criminal offenses for many of these acts of coercion, false reporting, sexual harassment, and things like that. There are criminal offenses. So having a knowledge sharing session, educating your staff about, look, it goes beyond what the company is ready to tolerate or not. If somebody makes a report about you and they can report to the police because it's a criminal offense, they can report to the police. There's nothing that we can do. And in fact, as a company, if you are guilty of a criminal offense and we discover that, after we've done our own investigation and we are certain that, yes, it was a genuine report, we have a civic duty to also report you to the police. So letting people know that these are the new rules on the ground, right? Be careful and stop behaving this way. And also for leaders to know that this is a business case. It's not just because you're a kind person or you're a nice person. There's also a business case because you could see that the impact is absenteeism, presenteeism, low productivity, higher safety incidents, and so on. So I think if the leader comes out and talks about it, make sure there's a policy and, periodically reinforces it. In the locker room with the men, when you're there with your fellow men, talk about it. You know yourselves that, look, Oga, this is your behavior, it has to stop. I'm not accusing anybody, but I know it is going on in this organization and it's not going to be tolerated anymore. So I think those sort of conversations need to happen. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Let me also throw it back to Dr. Akinbamijo. He retired last month from the United Nations system.
Okay.
How is this handled in global institutions? So let's get a global perspective. Dr. Yemi Akinbamijo. Are you still with us?
Maybe he cannot unmute. Is it possible? Okay, maybe he has to unmute. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Abiba. You are a subject matter expert.
I have a hand up here.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you saw it.
Kule. All right, Engineer Kule Adebajo, please.
Okay, thank you very much. And good afternoon now. That was a very good session. Thanks so much, Habiba. Mine are probably more comments rather than questions, but observations in the sense that, all you've talked about tends to a large extent follow culture, either corporate culture, national culture, and somewhere earlier on, you talked about drawing the line. Where exactly is the line? And I'm sure you would definitely be the first to agree that that line can change. It may not be, plus or minus 50%, but it will certainly change depending on where you are, what the circumstances are. Obviously, for organizations nowadays, the best bet is to have zero tolerance as much as possible. But what I have noted is that, particularly in the case of bullying and some of this inappropriate behavior, there's also this issue of copying what they see or what they perceive to see from their leaders. And so if you have a boss who shouts in the office, there's every likelihood that even the little messenger will also shout at someone below him, simply because he feels that's the way to do it, making himself popular and even copying people they admire. So that's one major issue, and it's going to be quite difficult because it's meshed in all our culture and everything else. The other point I'd say is that maybe you haven't handled the fact that the best way to be able to not engage in bullying and all this that we've talked about, the harassment, is actually to develop your own sensitivity. Because you see, there are many people who just don't have the empathy. So they say it as they mean it, and they don't take a minute to think about how did that person receive it. And that person may not be like me, and has, unfortunately, it's depressing the person or it's getting at them. But when you ask that person, say, what was it? What did I say? You know, come on, you know, that was nothing. So I think we need to work a lot more on our sensitivity, our empathy, particularly because we must be aware that most people may not be taking it the way you think you're taking it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, so somebody mentioned it earlier in the chat. Adu Akinyemi mentioned that emotional intelligence, that the empathy is very, very important. And someone else just asked the question about what do you do when the person who's supposed to address it is the perpetrator. So that's the person who's doing all this, the aggressive shouting and all the rest. So this is where HR comes in. So if it's a structured organization, it's easier because HR can schedule diversity and inclusion awareness or anti-bullying and harassment training, or what we call respectful workplace training. And when you do things like that, you start with the leadership team. And in the course of the training, they see themselves, they see their own behavior, and they realize, oh, this is my own behavior, my own management style is actually bullying. So by doing that, you raise their sense of self-awareness. And then because you're doing it with the leadership team, they can talk amongst themselves as peers and talk about, and you have a lot of pushback that, look, if we don't speak to them that way, you know, they won't perform. Or do you know how many times I've corrected them before I started shouting? But those kind of conversations start happening. And then part of the training is teaching them alternative ways to express their frustration and their anger and correct and people manage and performance manage their staff without having to resort to bullying and harassment. So many people don't behave differently because they don't know any other way to behave. So when you show them another way to behave, you help them role play it and practice it, and they see that, oh, this would work. This is just as strong or even stronger than when I shout. Then they naturally switch. And that has been my experience doing this for so many years, is that when they see better and easier ways that it's not extra work for them, it's not them becoming soft or whatever, they are ready to switch to that. For owner managers who might have an admin assistant or one junior person who just, all that person does is pay salaries, it might be difficult, right? So that person, maybe if they attend a summit like the EAP summit or a conference or a webinar like this, then they might be alerted, oh, okay, the way I'm doing it is not good, but I don't know any other way to do it. And then they might be encouraged. So, but in structured organizations, HR has this role and they start with leadership. You do not start with the staff because, as you said, the staff are looking up to the leaders. You cannot train me to do things differently when I know the leaders are still going to do the things the old way. So you start with the leadership team and then you let the leadership team know that everybody's going to be watching you. They will only change if you change. So you have to role model the change that you want. So I hope that answers your question and also reinforces what you shared. And I think Mr. Akimbamijo has unmuted now. Do you want to make your contribution about how it works in a global organization? Yemi Akimbamijo? Okay, maybe not. So I'll hand over back to you, Venerable.
All right, then. Thank you very much. You've made our day. Yemishi, will you please be kind to thank Mrs. Balogun and everybody that has joined us. Yemishi has made a lot of sacrifice to be with us. She's a regular, she's an associate of the firm. She is currently in America Thank you very much, MEC, for joining us. Do you want to give the vote of thanks? Please.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for this privilege. I do not take it for granted. Thank you. So I'm just checking in the chat room right now. I can't see drum rolls for Mrs. Habiba Balogun. Please, I want you to go into the chat room. Let's say a big thank you to her for coming here to, did you pay for this session? No, you didn't. So she did this for free. So please, let's go into the chat room and say a big thank you to her. Let's say, I want to see everybody, let's go in the chat room. Let's say, let me see the drum rolls. Let's see your, yes, 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 yes. Keep them coming, keep them coming, keep them coming. If you really did got value from this session, just keep them coming, keep them coming. Yes, 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 yes. We're about 44 people here at the moment. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, fantastic. So thank you very much, Mrs. Habiba Balogun. We're so grateful. Thank you for pouring into us this morning. That was an impactful and enlightening session. We thank you very much. I've gotten so much value personally from this session today. So we want to thank you. And on behalf of Sages and Scribes Consultants, we want to thank you very much. And we do hope that when we call you next time, you will come and pour into us as you have done today. Thank you very much. And for everyone that has attended as well, we want to thank you for coming and see you again next month. You will be forwarded the details for the next session and the topic. Thank you so much and do have an amazing day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
All
everybody.
right.
See you next month at our Connect and Learn series. I want to thank Betty in particular, who joined us from the Caribbean. Thank you. God bless.